Hello everyone and welcome back to Teagues, New Jersey. My name is Alex. Today we're doing something a little different. We're going to be talking a little bit about tea pottery and a little bit of tea pottery history, and I'm going to be sampling an Alishan Oolong, which is a high mountain oolong from Taiwan, and this is from the tea company Yan Hou Tea. And as you know, I get a lot of samples from different places, different brokers, different farmers and companies out of China, Japan, Taiwan, and I sample a lot, taste a whole bunch of different teas, and I select the ones that I like the most for Teagues, New Jersey, and this is one of those samples. So we're going to be tasting this. I had it last night and I liked it a lot, so we're going to see how it tastes today, and we'll do many tastings in the future. And then this is also from them. I'm sampling some teaware. This is an example of the Jian Zhan pottery in China. This is one of the original potteries, tea potteries of China, and it is distinct for the clay that's used. It's a very mineral-rich clay, very iron-rich, and the glaze is also iron-rich as well. And what these minerals do, as you know, we talked about Yixing clay in a previous video, and the effects of the Yixing clay on tea, and the iron and the minerality in the tea, or in the glaze of this teaware, affects the tea as well. What it does is smooths the tea out, it enhances the flavors, and it really does an amazing job. We have the Alishan Oolong. I heated up my gaiwan a little bit. I only have 3.5 grams of this. I would usually use 6 grams for 100 milliliters. I'm only going to do half because I drank a lot of tea last night and I don't want too much. I've had some herbal tea this morning and I'm going to be having a lot of tea tonight, so this is a nice afternoon little pick-me-up. So I'm going to steep this for about 20 seconds. And this tea came in just this foil. I'll show you the dry leaf here. This is a green oolong, so it is not roasted. And typically high mountain oolongs are not roasted at all, so you'll still see kind of the greenish color in there. The leaves are a little matte of the dry leaf. And there isn't much fragrance off these leaves. There's a slight green sweetness to it. So we talked a little bit about the Jian Zhan Teaware, and I'm just gonna dump that out there. Now I do have an example here of a Japanese style, or it's actually a Korean style of glazing, and the Japanese like this style of teaware so much that in the whole Japanese tea philosophy, the rakuware is highly prized, especially for the shawan. And this is also similar to kind of a shawan in that it is a tea bowl instead of a cup, and the glaze does not go all the way down. It kind of drips to where it falls, and then there's also different designs and everything on the rim and in here, and then the same thing with the rakuware. The design is very just natural. The potters, the artists will just let the glaze drip, and then the color comes from the kiln. So for both of these styles, the differences in colors and the differences in designs, they come mostly from the kiln. So every one of these bowls is different. The same pot or they could be placed right next to each other in the kiln, and they're going to have different colors, they're going to have different designs. So that's one thing to look out for when you're buying pottery too. A lot of the times it's not going to be the picture you see on the screen, or it's going to be similar but different. I've seen some of these with like the lotus in the bottom. They're famous for the lotus in the bottom. This one doesn't have much of like a lotus shape. It just has those, like the very natural, like bubbly kind of design there. The kind of like cracked eggshell, or yeah, really nice. And then this has a whole bunch of different designs in here too. And you can see the cup is pretty different as well. And this came as like a set. This is from a local potter. And then, so that's like these are 2 clay options. Now this is sealed, so there is no, the glaze used in this does not have mineral or like high iron or anything. So it doesn't have any effect on the tea flavor. It's glazed, so there's no effect. But this, the glaze is special, so it does. And then this is a porcelain teacup. This is another style of Chinese teaware specifically. It does have like Chinese calligraphy on the bottom, and then very nice hand-painted designs. And these were designed and painted before they were fired. The color was brought out during the firing process, but it's not as like unique as these would be. So I'm actually going to be drinking out of the bowl here, and this is the box that this one came in, which is very nice and very unique to Chinese teaware. Now this teaware also does have a very, like a lower than typical like just natural temperature, so like room temperature, so it will cool your tea down a little bit. So you want to have it a little hot. You don't want your tea to be too cold. So let's actually do a bit of a taste test, because I want to see if I can tell a difference in the smoothness, the thickness, and the flavor. So the tea definitely feels thicker out of the Jian Zhan Teaware. We're going to do another infusion. And the high mountain oolongs, you can get quite a bit of infusions out of, 7 to 9 pretty much. So it is a really nice tea to have. It's a really nice tea to have like throughout a day, or to I don't know, make a few infusions and take them to go too. This tea is very nice and bright. It does have a lot of floral notes, and it has very clean flavors and a very clean aroma, very perfumey aroma. It stays in the mouth, and you can smell it and taste it when you breathe, which is really nice. It's a little bit more harsh out of this cup than it is on this cup, so I think the smoothness definitely is enhanced with this. But if you want a little bit of that little sour, like Taiwanese kind of like sour bite, then you might not want to use something like this, because it will dim that down. So you might want to just go with like a porcelain or like glazed clay that doesn't have those mineralizing, softening properties. But yeah, 2 very different experiences. Let's see how the second infusion turns out. So the smell of the wet leaf here, it smells very similar to a Taiwanese oolong, but it does have that distinct, very green sap kind of aroma, kind of like if you snap like a firm leaf, and all that white stuff in the middle there that you see, it like seeps out a little bit. It has that kind of aroma, and that goes into the taste too. It does translate over, and it's just a very nice green, like refreshing flavor that isn't very weird. It's very just natural. The smell is also a little sour, So the brightness that I tasted in the first infusion, that was very nice and not too strong, not as strong as a Taiwanese, but it was there. There was that kind of like brightness, a little bit of sourness. The sourness is almost completely gone. What's replaced it is almost like a piney kind of greenness. I'm gonna go ahead and taste this. Just looking at the tea liqueur in the bowl here, it looks super thick, a lot thicker than out of the cup. It also feels a lot thicker in the mouth. The tea out of this bowl, the second infusion out of this bowl, it was a lot smoother. It wasn't as bright, so it does dim down the brightness a little bit. We're going to do a third infusion, and I'm going to make this one very strong, and then we'll come back and taste the third infusion and see some noticeable differences and get some very specific tasting notes too. All right, so I just poured off the third infusion, and I just wanted to show you these leaves here. Now, these are very young leaves. These are very tiny leaves. You can see the bud there too. So this is the bud and first two leaves. It looked like there might be, yeah, the first two leaves, the bud, and there's like a third leaf here, but it's like barely developed. But this is prime picking for like any tea, for an oolong tea. This is pretty insane picking. Usually for oolongs, they'll do the first like up to four to five leaves, and like very rarely buds. But for the high mountain oolongs, they do like the young leaves, and the buds as well. They do add some nice flavor. It's a picking's like similar to green tea actually, and part of what the Alishan Oolong does is it really enjoys the brightness and the greenness of the tea plant, which is kind of like a new trend in oolong teas in general. The more traditional oolongs are made to be roasted. Taiwanese is also one of those teas that was traditionally roasted, but is now becoming more popularized in its unroasted variety, so the more brightness, the sourness. So this is a very interesting oolong, and I'm excited to see how the flavors develop. You definitely get a lot more brightness in teaware that is not this. That doesn't have the mineralizing effect or the softening effect. But what you do get is a lot more of the deeper notes of the tea. You get a little bit of some raw cabbage flavor. This tea kind of transforms. So it has some of the brightness, but it also has even like there is brightness in like the raw cabbage that you would get on like a salad, like sliced up, chopped up. So you get some of that like bright cabbage here. And then it goes from this, it's like a little slightly cooked, like slightly cooked cabbage and cooked spinach. So you get a lot of those flavors in here. Here it's like raw cabbage and like a Taiwanese sourness. So you get more of that sappy leaf, the sappy from the firm leaf here. Very interesting tea tasting experience. Same tea, brewed in glass, so there's no effect on the tea here. It's all from just pouring it in and drinking out of these two different cups. So the power that clay like this has, and just the iron, the effect of the iron can have on teaware just from drinking out of a cup, just from being in a cup for a couple seconds before I sip. Very powerful, very interesting, and it just shows one of the ways that you can tailor your tea tasting experience to you. So if you have a tea that is super sour and you're just very into like those deeper, like more cooked notes, this would be a great option for you. Like look for the Jian Zhan Teaware. If you are into those very bright, very floral, greener notes, then you might want to stay away from that. You might want to go for porcelain or like a glazed clay like this. I think having the option is very good, but also understanding the differences and why those differences are there is super important for you on your like individual and unique tea life. Everyone likes different teas, everyone likes different flavors out of teas, and this is one more way to tailor your tea experience to you. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications, and I will see you guys next time.